last night for the Cincinnati Bengals and Buffalo Bills game. We were hyped about it, like a lot of people were. Had this as their most anticipated game, and unfortunately, turned into probably the most tragic game I can remember. This is definitely the toughest, hardest to watch football situation. What seemed to me like a routine hit, I didn't really see anything happen. That seemed too severe go on. Seemed like he just went into him, had a routine tackle, went to take down T. Higgins. All of a sudden he stands up. Then I just see him go limp and collapse. Ended up getting a heart contusion, going into a cardiac arrest. They had to initiate CPR for a total of 10 minutes. Ambulance was on the field. The scene, you could see all the players were visibly affected. Josh Allen, Tre'Davious White was in tears. So just want to put our thoughts and prayers with everyone in that situation, the Buffalo Bills, and obviously player on the field who was injured and got hurt. So great to see that the outpouring for his foundation, over $3 million were donated to his cause, and then just seeing the way Zach Taylor kind of took over for Sean McDermott and it was like, hey, anything you need, I have your back. And he was nothing but gracious. And then seeing Joe Burrow go over just to console Josh Allen, and then the huge circle that the entire Buffalo Bills had. Very scary situation. So nothing but our thoughts and prayers go up to the Buffalo Bills, anyone involved in this situation. Most importantly, player who was affected.
Yeah, Damar Hamlin. Another thing about him that's really emotional, outside of the injury, of course, is like you stepped in such a big way this year. And last year, being a 6th-round pick, he's kind of acted like what a Malcolm Rodrigo has been for the Lions. Like, right. Stepped in, needed him to perform, had some injuries in the secondary. He stepped in, played really well last season, was a starter this year, played really well.
Yeah.
And then to see something like this that could potentially be not just an NFL career-ending injury, but like a life-threatening life, he could potentially lose his life to this, which is tragic, especially for someone who's only 24 years old. Like, there's so much heartbreak everywhere there, and it's just like you've mentioned, looked like a routine play. Maybe got like I initially thought it was a concussion.
Yeah,
the way he fell, I'm like, oh, that looks like maybe it's a concussion, but
like
the way that
neck or spinal too.
Yeah, I was worried at first that it might have been spinal too, but like then he lost. I mean, his heart went flat at one point, and they had to bring it back to life on the field. And I think it was the right decision for the Bengals and Bills to like, all right, we're not going to play this game because there's no way that the Bills could have come back from that. Like that's something that I don't even think that just would have been a really weird game to play.
Yeah, Chris Broussard mentioned it last week. Unfortunately, his father passed at the age of 79 from stage 4 cancer, and he was talking about how when he was going through that situation, nothing mattered. He was like, all this talk about Tom Brady, Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow, none of it mattered. It all seemed meaningless and insignificant to him. So you can only imagine what it's like when you're with a guy training in the facility for 8 to 10 hours a day. But it's one thing when you see it coming and he had stage 4 cancer and you're kind of expecting it. But when someone's 24 years old and then he comes face to face with death and now he's fighting for his life, that's something where I feel like we were out for this game. Everyone kind of went silent. Everyone was in shock. No one really knew what to say. It was definitely a messed up situation. And the fact that now he's 24 years old, went into a cardiac arrest, is fighting for his life. It's no question that they shouldn't have played the game. And for anyone saying like, oh, well, of course the game game shouldn't have gone on, that they made the right call. I don't care how it messes up the schedule. That doesn't matter right now when someone's fighting for their life. And then you're supposed to play a game when in the back of your mind, you're just thinking about your teammate fighting for his life. Like, that's not good for anyone. And with how traumatized and distraught people on the Bengals sideline look like, for the Bills, that's your friend, that's your brother. You're with this guy for 10 hours a day in the locker room. So it's just really tough to see. This is the toughest injury I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, the only injuries I can really compare it to is like the Ryan Shazier injury, which I think obviously was a little different, but still kind of like an extremely tragic injury that affected his life. And, you know, the thing that upsets me the most about this injury, outside of the ramifications you could have for this poor kid's life is